So anytime we're dealing with a figure that involves a parallelogram or a transversal line, any type of parallel lines, usually we're going to have one of two relationships. So the relationships are either going to be congruent or they are going to be supplementary, meaning they add up to 180 degrees. And that's exactly what we have here. We have parallel lines being transversed. These two lines are what's called consecutive interior angles or same side interior angles. These are going to add up to 180 degrees. So if we have the 25 degrees, we subtract that away from the 180 that they will combine to be, and we get 155 degrees. All right, as we look at a word problem, one strategy you may want to take advantage of is read the last sentence and see what we're looking for. It says, what was the associate's average daily commission for the 5 days? All right, so this is an average, which means we're going to add up the sums and divide by, in this case, the number 5, because we have 5 days. It says retail commission, daily commission for 1 week, 30 minutes on $30 on Monday and Tuesday. So $30 times 2 for a total of 60, and $70 on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday would be $70 times 3 for a total of 210. 60 and 210 make 270. So $270 were made in 5 days. So we divide 270 by 5, and the answer is $54. With this particular question, we're looking for the greatest common factor. Since we're not looking for an infinite number of values, what we can do is just try to divide these numbers in. So I'm going to start with the biggest one. 5 goes into both of these, but not 84, so that's a no-go. 5 goes into 45, but not, or 3 goes into 45, but not 50, so that's no good. 2 goes into everything but 45 because it's odd, and then 1, of course, is going to go into anything. I'm going to show you on a calculator how we can find the common factors of any type of number afterwards, but if you have multiple choice, we don't need to factor these numbers down, just identify which ones would actually work.
All right, so what we're going to take a look at is how we can use our calculator to find common factors. So what I want to do in our example, if I want to find the common factors of 45, all I need to do is type in 45 divided by x. What I'm basically instructing my calculator to do is to divide 45 by every number. So when I do this, any number that has a integer is a factor. So 1 times 45, obviously, 3 times 15, and 5 times 9. So this is another way, and you stop looking when the numbers pass each other, which you can clearly see they did, 7 and 6. All I'm going to find on the other side are the inverse of all of those values. So that's how I can use my calculator to find common factors.
This one we can do by hand. I'm also going to show you a calculator version on this as well. We are solving for x in this case. It says write a value for x in this equation. So I'm going to start with distribution of 2 to both my terms. And from there, I'm just going to combine my like terms. So I'll move the 2x and x make 3x. Minus 24, so we're going to add 24 to both sides. So 3x is going to be equal to 60. We divide by 3, x equals 20. And I'm going to show you on a calculator, even though this is a math that you can do in your head, the calculator eliminates small mistakes that you might make. And you've got to take into consideration the ACT knows the small and common mistakes, and they're going to leave you answers that will catch you in those. So a calculator is going to keep you from making those small mistakes.
On this question, I'm going to use my calculator to help me solve. So the equation reads 2 times x minus 12 plus x. And then it says equals 36, but instead of saying equals 36, what I'm going to do is minus parentheses. I'm going to put everything on the right side. Now the parentheses is really unnecessary on this because it's a monomial, but if that would have been any series of terms, monomial, binomial, rational, all I've got to do is put a parentheses around it. So what I've done is I've gathered everything to one side. So my equation is set equal to 0. So if my equation set equal to 0, what that means is my solution will be wherever it crosses the x-axis. Now, when I look at this, I can not see an answer because it's off the screen. Well, that means that multiple choice answer 4 and 8, that's F and G, are no longer on the picture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit second table set, and then I'm going to scroll down until I do see my answer. You can see the Y values are getting closer and closer to 0 until they finally hit at 20. That means 20 is the solution to our example here. You might have been able to solve that faster by hand, but your calculator, it's hard to make a mistake doing it this way, and you know that you have it right.
So in this one, it says, what is the probability of randomly selecting? So this one says, what is the probability of randomly selecting one button that is not white? So as we have the information at the top, it says a bag contains 22 buttons, 4 are red, 6 are blue, 12 are white. So this one said not white. So what I could do is either add the other 2 up, or we could just use the complement. White is 12 out of 22, so not white would be 10 out of 22. So as we look at these values, we can see that this reduces down to 5/11ths. Just a little warning here, don't pick a number just because it has a denominator of 22, excuse me, because a lot of times what happens is these values do reduce. So what I like to do on this one, it says a map, ½ represents 12 miles. 2 towns are 5 inches apart on the map. How I just personally like to make these set equal to 1. So 1/2 is equal to 12 miles. So I'm going to multiply times the reciprocal on both sides, 2/1, 2/1. So if ½ an inch equals 12 miles, well, that means 1 inch equals 24 miles. And if I do it this way, I'm just dealing with non-fraction values here. So if we have 5 inches, each inch is 24 miles. Well, it would be 5 times 24, 120 miles. Here's another one that we do not want to outthink the problem. Just get to a solution. Remember, we're not trying to prove how smart we are. We're just trying to get a solution. It says Caden has exactly 45 plants to sell. After 1 day, he has 42. After the second day, he has 39. After the third day, he has 36. So we can see that Caden is selling 3 plants per day. Assuming Caden will continue selling plants at this daily rate, how many plants will he have? And here's where we got to really pay attention. How many plants will he have at the end of day 6? So as we do these numbers, we need to recognize where we are. This is day 1. This is after day 1. So we're going to just keep subtracting 3. So that would take us down to 33. That would take us down to 30. This would take us down to 27. So this is after day 1, after day 2, after day 3, 4, 5, and 6, which is what we're looking for, 27. Just make sure you're going based on the intervals that they are talking about. You don't have to write an equation for this. Just perform the operations and get to the solution. All right, so as we look at this one, I'm going to read the last sentence and see what we're looking for. That's just my method. You don't have to do my method, but find something. Find a method. It says, which of the following equations models the relationship between, and here's where we're going to highlight things, M, the number of movies per month, and T, the total cost in dollars. So as we look at this, we recognize that we only have two variables because that's all that they've identified. It says on-demand movie services charges $5 per month. And here's where we get a little misled on this. We're so used to the number per, or the word per, meaning multiplication. But in this case, it does not. And we'll explain why in just a second. Let's finish out our thought. Plus $2 for each movie. And then there's that other word, per and each. Per each and every usually mean this. The reason why we do not have a multiplication here is because it later says we're writing an equation for the month. So the month is not unknown here. Really, it's an understood one. So M stands for movies, not for months. So 5 is 1 month. Yeah, 5 is 1 month. So that would be a constant value of 5. We're getting charged $2 per movie, and this would have a total of T. So we can see this is our H value. When in doubt, why not plug in a value and see which one of these equations work? That takes a little bit of a time, but you would have a correct answer. Remember what we're doing, we're accumulating correct answers. Don't plug in the number 0, 1, or 2, though. Get in the habit of plugging 3. We'll also take this one to calculator and show how we can get the answers. Check answers, whichever one you want on those. But remember, when we have these equations, either of these parentheses have to equal 0 for us to have a solution. So what we're going to do is set them each equal to 0, just like you see us doing there, and then we solve for x. So we move the 4 to the other side and then divide by 3. So one of our solutions is x equals 4/3. And then my other side is 2x equals -5. Divide by 2. Last solution is -2/5. So then my answer is C.
So in this example,
all right, at this one, I hope we are all diagramming.
And the equation is already set up equal to 0, so all I need to do is type
to form
this
two
into
triangles.
my
What is the area in
so I'm going to
inches
go
squared,
parentheses
or in
2x
inches, for this
plus
triangle?
5.
So
Close parentheses
have a
and then open
rectangle,
for the next. 3x minus
which is
4.
6 by 8, diagonal cutting it into halves.
And
well,
now
my
we have it all
suggestion
set
on
equal to
this
0.
would just
So
find
I'm
the
gonna graph
area
this thing and take a look,
of
see
the
what we
rectangle,
have.
and our
So I can
triangles
clearly
are going to
see
be
that
half
I
of
am
that. 6
crossing
times 8 is
between
48. Half of that is
-2 and
24.
-3. So I have a negative solution and a
We also
positive
have the
solution.
formula for a triangle,
So right off
which
the
is 1
bat, I'm going
half
to be able to mark off everything
base
except for
times
C
height,
and D.
and we would
And then I
plug in
just
our
need to
6 and
look and
8,
see,
and that would work
okay,
just
this is
fine.
-2.5, so that would be the -5.5, and the other one would be 4/3. But while we're on this topic, why not let's look at another thing that we can do. I can look up specific values on the calculator, like -5/2. If I hit second, calculate, and the first option under this is value. So if I type in -5
So in this
divided by
one,
2,
our best strategy is just to let
it's
our
going to give me
calculator
the
work. It
value
says
of
in a
5
class of
divided
10th
by
graders,
-5
no
divided by 2 equal
no
to
students
0, as we can see
participated
here.
more than one of the following
The
extracurricular activities.
solution has to be in the screen, though. If it's off the screen, you're going to get dimensional error.
Participate
So
man,
I could like look
1/6
up the
sang in
value
choir,
4/3 as well.
1/10 football, 1/60th
And this
basketball.
should
What is
equal
the
0.
fraction of the
Just
class
a
that did
little
not
forewarning.
participate in
Sometimes it
any
will
of
be
the
off by
activities? So that is
just the
going to be the
smallest amount.
complement
like it
to
may say
our
0.00000.
fractions here.
That is
So we're
is
just going to
see,
add all of these up.
sometimes the
2
calculator
thirds
has
plus
small
1
rounding errors.
6th
Not very often
plus
on these
1
type,
10th
but on certain ones they will.
plus 1 60th. This is not a number that we have to get a common denominator for, because we have a calculator. So right now I'm typing in all my values. Don't forget the alpha y equals. Alpha y equals is the fraction known at our calculator. So I'm using that 4 times in this case. We add these up, and what I get is 19/20ths. But what I found was the students that participated in something. So the students that did not participate in anything would be the remaining 1 out of the 20 do not. So this would be our answer, C. Man, this is ridiculous. So as we look at this one, first thing I want to do is I want to figure out what the square root of 61 is. So I put the square root of 61 in my calculator, and it comes out to 7.810, and then so on, because it's an irrational number. So make sure that we read. It says, what is the smallest integer greater than 61? I think a lot of people might have picked 7 here, but 7 is not greater than this amount. 8 is the one that is actually greater than this amount. Again, turn your rational numbers into actual numbers. We're going to take a look at this one first and do it the way that it's designed to be answered. First thing I want to do anytime I have these is recognize it says triangle ABC, sine of which is 2/3, sine of C is 2/3, length of AB is 6, and then we're looking for C. And again, a lot of times the instructions that are listed at the top are primarily describing what we are seeing. So let's go ahead and see what we have. First thing I want to do is highlight the angle of interest, which is angle C. So what this tells me that sine of C is 2/3. Well, in actuality, when we look at, remember, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Well, opposite of C is 6, and the hypotenuse is the side B, which is unknown. So we can see that to go from 2 to 6, we need to triple our amount, which means we would have to triple our amount in the denominator here. So the question mark would be a value of 9. I want to talk about something more specifically. Let's take a look at this. We are clearly looking for the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is opposite of the right angle, so we are clearly looking for the hypotenuse. We know that the hypotenuse will always be the largest side of a triangle, so the only one we have to compare it to is 6. Well, 4 is less than 6, 5 is less than 6, the square root of 5 is a lot less than 6, and if I type in the square root of 13, square root of 13 is equal to 3.6. So the only thing that's even a possible answer on this for a value of AC is 9. Don't forget those triangle rules we talked about. Hypotenuse is always the largest. The two small sides, the small medium, have to add up to be greater than the large. And the larger the side, the larger the opposite angle. So this one, always take a look at those. And I really think that we need to turn our irrational numbers, into their actual decimals, so we know the number that we're talking about. As we look at this one, we have a table that's shown, says 5 terms are written in sequential order. It's an arithmetic sequence, which of the following is. So with this rate of change that we see is +4, +4, +4. So the rate of change is our slope. So the only one that even works here is our value, just like this. If you get completely lost, do not forget that this is a set of ordered pair. So if you picked any value in this, and I really suggest do not use the first one in the list, use one of the middle ones in the list. If you plugged in 3 for n, the output should be 9. So if you ever get lost on one of those, don't forget to consider using that method as well. So a lot of folks miss this one because they just added up the terms that we have. They did 20 and 20 make 40. This makes 54, and then that makes 62. A lot of people pick B on this, and it's a wrong answer. The perimeter, remember, is all of the sides added up. Well, we have two sides that are not accounted for. This side here and this side here. So if we look at the first side, this side, we know from here to here is 20 according to this right there. And 14 of the 20 is from here to here, which leaves us with 6 units still to go. And on the other side, we have a side of 20 from here to here, according to this. And from here to here is 8 of the 20, which means this side is 12. So we're missing 18 from our original total of 62. So our value solution is D. So in this problem, hopefully we're using our alpha y equals. It says Manuel estimates that 2/3 of the pizza is left. And as I highlight, I hope you guys, when you're taking your test, are also underlining important information. Stephen estimates it's 3/4 left. They are going to compromise for a joint estimate by using the number halfway between their two estimates. What is the joint estimate? So what I did on this one is I just simply hit alpha y equals, and I make sure I format this the way that I'm supposed to. 2/3 plus 3/4. Add those together, and it is actually 17/12. And then we just simply hit divided by 2 on our calculator, and that's going to tell us 17/24. When in doubt, you could change these two numbers to decimals as well if you're more comfortable with that. It's going to take more time, but these are decimal amounts. This is an non-repeating decimal, but you still can do that. And that might be a good way to check your answer as well. So 2/3 is 0.67 repeated, 0.6 repeated. 3/4 is 0.75. And when I put 17/24 in my calculator, it's 0.708. So we can see that that definitely falls right in the middle of those two numbers. So far this basketball season, Sharita has made 46 of her 60 free throws, giving her a field goal percentage of 67.7. 46 of 50. What is the minimum number of free throws that she needs to make from now on in order to have a free throw percentage average of at least 80? All right, and again, it says minimum number. So what I would suggest doing on this is we set up the proportion that she has, 46 divided by 60. And then I would start with the middlemost number. ACT usually does number these in a ascending order like this. So I'm going to plug in 10. So if she shoots 10 free throws and makes 10 free throws, she will have made 56, that's plus 10, over 70. If this number is too small, I'm going to move up to 14. If this number is too big, I'm going to move down to 3. So when I put it in my calculator, it is actually exactly 0.8. So it's just right. So our answer is C.